Today's tear-filled edition for Oakland fans of the GoldCast is sponsored by Mort's Back Scratchers. Is your back scratchy? Do you have an itch in a place where you can't reach behind your back? Then use Mort's Back Scratchers. They are the most efficient kind. They have them in all kinds of styles: wood, plastic, metal, uranium. You can get them at a store near you or at mortsbackscratchers.tv. And don't forget, you can find the GoldCast on Stitcher, iTunes, and YouTube, all under the moniker The GoldCast. YouTube.com/The GoldCast. We finally reached over 100 subscribers, and we finally got the unique URL that we wanted. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting the GoldCast. We're also on iTunes and Stitcher, The GoldCast. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, all under @The GoldCast. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Share, like, and subscribe. Tell your friends. I've had some people talk to me on YouTube. They're saying, "Hey, man, you guys are great. You guys need more subscribers." We agree, and the only way we get there is through your help. So spread the word. Let everyone know if you're a fan of the Warriors, the Giants, the Niners, and if you just like hearing some general sports talk, as we're going to get into today. Be sure to subscribe, share, like, follow the GoldCast. We'll follow you back. Join the revolution, baby. What are we revolutionizing against? I'm not really sure, but it sounded good. All right, we have a very special episode of the GoldCast coming up. This is a solo mission for me, Rudy Solis III. I have a very special guest. He's a dear friend of mine and a long-time diehard Bay Area sports fan. He's here to talk about the Raiders moving to Vegas, and then we're going to head on into some Warrior talk. So without further ado, we've been off for a week, but now we're back. GoldCast, here we go. Let's get busy.
San Francisco, are you ready?
This is the GoldCast.
Boom! Welcome to another edition of the GoldCast. We are the voice of the faithful. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my dear friend, one of my best men at my wedding, Pete Zimmer. Brand new, welcome to the GoldCast, buddy.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good, man. So let's get into this. You are a San Francisco local, lived out here forever. You grew up in the East Bay, and you grew up, you're a Giants fan, you're a Warriors fan, but you grew up a Raiders fan. And I
Yes.
want to talk to you about,
Okay.
I want to get your perspective on the Raiders moving to Vegas. Now, I really thought about this for a second, because I was thinking about this, like, if I got the news that the 49ers, I mean, bad enough they're in Santa Clara, but if I get the news that the 49ers are moving to, like, they're moving to Arizona, or they're moving to Idaho, because they don't have a football team, so they're gonna become the Idaho Niners. Like,
Right.
I would be hella messed up over that. Like, I really thought of it, because at first I'm like, what's the big deal? I mean, who cares? I mean, they're still the Raiders, keeping the name, but I was like, wait a minute, but like, I culturally identify the 49ers with San Francisco, and so let me just get. You're a man that's obviously has always had a pulse on the city of San Francisco and obviously the East Bay, given your roots. What Tuesday comes down, the news hits, Raiders are moving to Vegas. Walk me through it.
Okay. Basically, the first thing I thought was, don't turn on the radio today, because I saw it on the phone first thing in the morning, and I was like, okay, yeah, I knew it was going to happen. I knew that they weren't going to turn down $750 million, because all the NFL really wants is cash.
Yeah.
It's free money, basically. And that was just too much money. And our owner, he's a Davis. He's a Raider, but he doesn't have the money. He's a millionaire playing at a billionaire's club. There was no way, not unless there was some sort of, football miracle that was coming, and we both know those don't happen.
Yep.
It's all about the dollars. So my thing with the Raiders, the way it feels is, I feel for the East Bay. It hurts. It pains me and it upsets me, but at the same time, I can't see myself being anything other than Raider Nation. So I'm torn. Where does my anger go? I don't know. I talk to my. I have a text thread which is all just the friends I play fantasy football with and the guys I talk to every Sunday, and we have not contacted each other because we don't know what to say and we don't know what we're doing. Two of the guys are season ticket holders that are on that text thread. There's 5 guys. We've all been Raider fans forever. We all go to games together. Whenever we go, we always meet up in the parking lot. The whole thing. When we don't know what to say to each other, so nobody's reached out. Nobody's made the first move, and it's, 4 days later? we don't know what to say. We knew it was going to happen. I don't even know how to feel about it going down for the next 3 years, the next 2 years plus. We just went 12-4. I should be ecstatic about my football team, but they're moving to Las Vegas.
So let me ask you this. All right. So the mayor comes on and she's, she kind of gives this little speech, and she says,
you mean her dog and pony show?
Yeah, the dog and pony show. And she, I'm a little torn on this too, because here's the thing. Here's what really pisses me off. It really pisses me off when an NFL team, and granted, you're right. Davis is a millionaire playing with a billionaire's game. That's a great phrase, and you're right. But the NFL is rich as hell. The billions upon billions, and all those owners are billionaires. And what really pisses me off is when these teams and these franchises try to get the cities to pay for these stadiums when they have no business doing that. All of this should be done through the NFL. For instance, St. Louis, when the Los Angeles Rams leave St. Louis, and the city is still paying $100 million on a stadium that no longer has a team for it. Like, the NFL should have paid off that $100 million. We're really sorry. We feel bad. We pay off that $100 million. Now, that's what should have happened. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So going back to the scenario here, the mayor, first thing she says, I'm really happy that we didn't take the taxpayers' money to do this. I feel like that we really stood strong on that. I feel really bad for Raider Nation. And I mean, you could tell, I'm like, okay, you're not a sports fan, and that's cool. Nothing says you have to be. You're a mayor. There are far more important things to do in Oakland than worry about a football stadium, right? But then the flip side to that is that the day that the vote came on, she sent a letter, trying to create a blockade, trying to get them to stop it, so she can try and allocate private funding for a new stadium in Oakland. My question is, why didn't she do this 6 months ago?
Well, first of all, as far as I understand it, and being that you're getting a fan perspective here, but this is what I've learned and read about, as far as I know, is that the private funding that was coming from the Ronnie Lott Group and all that stuff, the NFL didn't like it. The other thing is that it didn't happen soon enough, and Mark Davis, say what you will about him, he's a man of his word. When things weren't working with Oakland, he said, I'm going to find somebody else. And he did it. And when Las Vegas came to him as quickly as possible, as fast as they did, I mean, basically, because it's all shady hotel money, basically.
Yeah.
When you go to Vegas, that's how this is getting paid for. Basically, he said, okay, it's too late. I've already made a deal and I've made a commitment to somebody else. I'm not even going back to the table. So whatever she was doing, and even the Ronnie Lott Group, the only hope that Oakland has had in the last, 6 to 8 months is basically trying to convince the NFL that they could come up with something better, which is, I honestly think, in my opinion, the way Oakland is progressing and the type of companies and the companies that are moving to Oakland, it's not just becoming like the new Brooklyn of the Bay Area, which is what they're trying to make it into, but Uber's getting a headquarters there. There's new businesses. The tech industry is finding that is the last respite of urban that hasn't been developed in this area.
Yeah.
And so they're pumping it in, and I think in 10 years, it's just going to be as vibrant and as gentrified, for lack of a better word, as San Francisco or San Jose.
I agree with that. I think the infrastructure and the foundation to support professional sports teams in Oakland, while it may not be there now, there's never been more reason to have financial optimism for Oakland going into the next decade. Do you agree with that?
Correct. Yeah, I completely agree. And the other thing is, with the mayor, like you were saying before, where she was not saying as a Raider fan, from day one when Libby Schaaf got elected, I remember hearing her on the local radio station here, she was saying that this was about, she grew up in Oakland. She's an Oakland resident.
Yeah.
She first day she came on and discussed relocation for the A's and the Raiders. First of all, she said if she was going to have to make a choice, she was very abundantly clear from day one, saying that she's an A's fan and a Raiders fan, but the A's come first because of what they can do for the city, because of the number of dates that they have it. So that was her number one priority. That the 8 days, the 8 or 10 home days was not as big of a priority as it is as the A's 82 plus, the Babe Ruth series kind of stuff. From an economic standpoint, that makes sense. There's not enough even multi-use stadiums like where you're going to have enough events like Taylor Swift concerts like they got over at your place, Levi's. Yeah. There's just not enough to make it viable. They would have to make it like a Coliseum City kind of thing where there were businesses and stuff around there to make it worth the time, to have public funding and that kind of stuff. She's always been priority on the A's. And the A's, if you haven't been paying attention, they're going through where they're actually proud and happy to be in Oakland. They're renaming Oakland's field Ricky Henderson Field. They're making everything feel like, hey, this is your team. Adopt it, They hired this guy, Dave Cavill, to do it. And my problem why I stopped watching the A's was because you didn't know who any of the players were. They didn't treat your fans good. They did the same thing, and Oakland fans have been getting shit on for years. And that was what was cool about being part of the Raider Nation. That's why when I, moved to the Bay Area as a kid and I became part of the Raider Nation, it was us against them. Like, they don't love us. Look at the dump we play in. It's us against them. You wear black on Sundays, and you don't care what anybody else thinks because we're Raider Nation and you're not. And that's what being part of Raider Nation is all about. And that's why they think it'll translate to Las Vegas. Because, to be honest, you're not going to see me wearing anything else but a Raider hat on Sundays. That's just not going to change. Does it break my heart that I can't go to the games with Ray and Bill and all the other guys? Yeah, but, I'm still going to be Raider Nation. I mean, I heard Ice Cube say it on the radio the other day, or in an interview the other day, saying, he's like, hey, man, if they move to Vegas, I'm still the president of Raider Nation. And that's just the way most of us feel. For a lot of the people who, every Sunday that the tailgating, those are the people that it breaks my heart that that's what they do. For me, it's a little different. I diehard watched them. I watched them for the 10 years they sucked. While you guys were all watching the Niners in the other room, I'd watch the Raiders in my room by myself.
True.
True. All those Sundays we would all be hanging out. You guys are all watching the Niners in the glory days of Harbaugh, and I would be watching the Raiders. I would go off on my own, even in my own house, and do it because I'm a part of Raider Nation, and that black and silver was what I identify with. It's a team that I identify with. I don't know how I'll feel about the Vegas thing. I just know now I'm going to enjoy it because 12-4 was the most fun I've had on Sundays in, 10 years.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, okay, now here's the question. Now here's a fun question. Now, do you feel as a fan you guys have a little there's pressure, like you want them to win a Super Bowl before they leave, right? Like, I mean, they right?
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Burn this bitch to the ground.
Like they have to
like,
they
you
have
know
to
how
raise the
fun it would
Lombardi
be to
trip.
boo Mark Davis when he got the fucking trophy? Oh, it'd be great. I would and there would be nothing more Oakland than that. Are you kidding me? That would be the most awesome thing in the world. Like, can you imagine him bringing a championship to Oakland? Like, Derek Carr would be cheered. Khalil Mack would be cheered. Mark Davis is up there, boo! Like, remember when they booed not Peter Gruber, but the other one from the Warriors. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank on it. And they booed him after they traded Monte Ellis.
Yes.
And I thought that was the most Oakland thing I'd ever seen.
Yep.
Mark Davis holding up the trophy and getting booed off the stage would be the most Oakland thing ever. I pray every day to the football gods that gets to happen. That would not make up for him moving my football team, but it would come damn close. It would make me sleep better at night, I can tell you that.
That's so funny. Because now let me ask you this. Let's say Raider Nation moves and their first year in Vegas they win that Super Bowl. How do you feel then?
Dude, that's just, why are you trying to punch me in the nuts? That would just be like every time I open my door to leave for work every day, somebody's standing there like I'm a little midget and just punch me right in the nuts, and then have a nice day, go on about your business. That's pretty much how that would feel.
Like it has to happen here and not there if it's going to happen with this group, right?
Well, it can happen if it happens here first.
Got it.
Like we're not talking AFC Championship. We're not talking getting to the Super Bowl. Bring one more home for Oakland. You know, because we put up with so many bad teams. I mean, Jamarcus Russell, Rolando McClain. You go down the list of just bombs and busts, and like Warren Sapp past his prime, and Anthony Seymour past his prime, and all these guys that just, dude, what are you doing? Like, you know, God rest in peace, Al Davis, but you made some stupid ass decisions. I mean, just horrible decisions, and then you end up that, you know, Mark Davis and his funny haircut and his slow talking ex-lineman come in here, and I'm like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. I made jokes that he was Blirish because he's Black Irish, Reggie McKenzie, but it turns out that motherfucker knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True. Well, he let the team breathe in a way that his dad never did.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Because, I mean, Al was so used to controlling everything and letting it, like, and it worked his way. And then, you know, like most old people, we don't become more rational and more open-minded as we get older. We get more stuck in our ways and cranky. And that happened with Al Davis. You can't blame the guy for that. You know, it's human nature. But, you know, I will give it, Mark Davis loves the Raiders. He would go broke before he sells this team.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
I mean,
would.
you know, and he definitely gets that from his father. And, you know, his dad, it's like, you know, it's the best intentions, you know, phrase. It was the best intentions. And it was almost like, in his own way, he was kind of trying to moneyball it. He was almost trying to Billy Bean it.
Yeah, he was trying to just, and, you know, I listen to Greg Papa all the time say that, like, at the end of his life, he just wanted to win, like, one more championship. And you kind of see that happening. But it was actually effective with the guy from Denver. I forget the Denver guy's owner's name, but they're doing the same thing. Like, they're going to be in salary cap hell in a couple years. But they got that one more ring for him before he passed away. And, you know, I guess Al Davis was doing that and making crazy decisions. And, you know, it's just, I mean, he wasn't able to get it done. And it just, you basically, I mean, you had to scrap it. Like, when I look back at the Warriors and the 25 years of crap I watched, and thinking that, like, Ike Diagu might be good, you realize how bad, like, watching him now, like, annihilate San Antonio the other night, and I'm watching basketball at its highest level, and I'm realizing that the 25 years of crap and thinking that Ike Diagu and Troy Murphy might actually be good, and why is nobody else recognizing these guys? And it's because I'm watching them every night and nobody else is. You know what I mean?
Like, and my irrational defense of Kaepernick for the last 3 years.
Exactly correct. It's exactly correct.
Yeah. It's because it's your team. That makes a lot of sense. Now, there's one more question I wanted to ask you about this Raiders thing. Drawing a blank on it, but if I remember, I'll come back to it.
No worries.
Overall, let me ask you this: next year, where do you guys see where you're at?
As a team or as me as a fan?
Team, like where
the team I see us winning the AFC West. I think the only team we really need to worry about, the team. I mean, of course, we're getting screwed by the schedule gods again. We have to play the biggest game of the year not in Oakland. We have to play Tom Brady in fucking Mexico City.
Oh, hey,
in Mexico City.
At least it's on our.
It'll be a home game for the Raiders.
At least it's on our time. Isn't it in our time zone? That's still our time zone, though, right?
No, it's Central, I think, because we played there last year, and we won, but we were playing the Texans. But the biggest game of the year, the guys we want in the AFC Championship game, I want freaking Mr. Brazilian deflated balls, and I want to kick his ass and go to the Super Bowl. Like, if there is a football god, they need to give that to Raider Nation.
I thought you guys legitimately had a shot last year. I thought you were.
Well, we did
once you guys
until
went down, I thought I don't really know who's left that can beat them in the AFC.
Did I tell you the story of that game? That's the only game last year I didn't watch live. And I was going to my grandmother's, and I was in the car with Megan, and I told her, no looking at the phone, no, I don't want to know because it's a big game, and I don't want to know. And she's looking. We're driving back from my grandmother's house out in Marin, and she looks, and she's like, Derek Carr broke his leg. And I'm like, you better be lying. You better be lying. And I turned on the radio, and I almost drove off the freeway.
Oh, man. So did you see the clip of Mark Davis cursing and screaming when that happened?
Yeah. He's doing what Derek does. I mean, Derek is a football player first. He's an excellent football player, and it's refreshing to have a quarterback. The Raiders are going to be good as long as he's manning the helm. And the friendship that he has with Khalil Mack and the respect that he garners from everybody in that organization is amazing. It's what you want in a quarterback. You're like, dude, there's no way this guy is not going to – it's not like a flash in the pan guy. It's not going to be a guy who just had one good season and it's going to drop off. This guy has all the tools. As much as I hate Russell Wilson, you're like, that dude's good.
Yeah.
Crap. I hate it, but he's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. No, that's how I feel about Derek Carr. I'm definitely very happy you guys are in the AFC West and not in the NFC West.
Right.
Very
you
much
guys,
so.
You guys don't need any more. Well, thank God Arizona's pretty much toast. So
luckily I feel like the Seahawks are definitely on the tail end of this current regime. We'll see how they answer. And what they do as they replace players and get young, fresh blood in there. But honestly, for me, flipping on that side, it's never been a better time to be a Niner fan. Now we have Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, and we just traded the Ravens for their All-Pro center. Not sure why they gave us them, but we'll take them.
That's how we started, man. And build from the lines, man. And you guys, the one thing Bulky kept getting, he was kind of, what? I just popped in my head, but he was like the Matt Millen of drafters, but with defensive linemen rather than wide receivers. It's okay, so all of them look the same. All of them can kind of play, but they all play the same position. Why do you keep drafting that dude? It's okay, DeForest Buckner can ball. Eric Armstead can probably play ball. But they play the same position. They look exactly the same, except one's Samoan, one's black, and nothing else has changed. I'm like, what about all the other holes you guys have?
Right.
So,
well, in your defense, you did tell me for the last 2.5 years that Trent Baalke wasn't good.
Yeah, I did. He's garbage. You guys are so lucky you got rid of him. John Lynch is up in the air, man, but I think he's a football guy who's willing to get out of the way. Unlike our president, all I want people to do in their high-ranking positions is get smart people around them. If you don't know something, get smart people around you. It's not difficult, man.
It's not. No, you're right. It's not difficult.
Don't always be. If you're my grandfather used to say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong fucking room.
That's
Jesus,
so
it's not complicated, people. Why is everybody so afraid to be told they're wrong? It's scary.
That's very much a feeling of this era. What
yeah.
I mean?
Everybody's afraid to be told that they're not the best. I'm like, look, dude, I'm okay with not being the best as long as you teach me.
No, you teach me, yeah. Well, it's the 10th place ribbon club mentality.
I like that. I'm stealing that, by the way.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Let's talk about the Warriors. Kevin Durant goes down, and things get, they kind of go on that dip. They lose 3 out of 5, and now what are we at? 8 now? 8 straight now?
8 in a row, and they just kicked the shit out of the second and third place teams in the Western Conference. And that game yesterday was unbelievably epic. It was
so good.
I didn't catch it live, and I stayed up till 2:30 last night watching the game because I saw it on the phone. Was like, oh my god, I had to go meet a friend's new daughter yesterday. She wasn't watching basketball, obviously, since she's 2 weeks old. And I came home, I saw the score, and I was like, oh my god, down by 22, and then I check later and like we're tied. I'm like, all right, I can't wait to get home and just watch this game. And I watched it, and it's, you know what? They're the best team in the league without Kevin Durant. With Kevin Durant, they're an all-time great team.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. You know, because honestly, you know, without the fizzle of Draymond, I honestly think we'd be talking about the two-time champions, and Durant wouldn't be here. I think they can win a championship with Steph, Clay, Draymond, and Iguodala. I think that's a good enough team.
Well, and looking at where the Cavs are, the Cavs lost again today. By the way, they just we're recording this on Thursday night, and the Cavs have lost to the Bulls 99-93. You know that their record is under 500 since the All-Star break. I think they're now like 8-11.
I watched them against San Antonio the other night when LeBron got elbowed in the back. David Lee dropped like a freaking sack of potatoes, which wasn't even that big of a hit. It looked like, dude, you're 6'8", 260, walk it off on the homeboy.
But if LeBron breaks a nail out there and he's complaining to the refs and asking for a technical,
kind of like the James Harden every foul call, like. Jeez, man, like that guy gets so many foul calls, it's crazy. But I honestly think James Harden deserves the MVP
over Russell Westbrook. I think so too.
I do too. I because at the end of the day, like we've had this discussion more than once about greatness, but versus the greatest of all time, and at the very end, the leading metric for me is always wins.
Yeah.
Winning is more important than anything when it comes down to evaluating greatness.
Yep.
If you didn't win, you can put up a bunch of stats. Like Boogie Cousins is not going down as one of the greatest centers of all time.
No.
No, it's just not.
It has to translate to wins, and in this sport it's different because in this sport one player, makes such a huge difference. You know what I mean? One player literally can turn your team from a nothing team to a championship team. One player can do that. You know what I mean? Basketball has that. Basketball is the only sport that has effects. There's only 5 guys on the court. So I'm with you too because of how James Harden's play is elevating all of the Rockets versus Russell Westbrook. It's not really elevating. It's kind of very Kobe Bryant-esque. It's very it's that kind of era of hero ball.
Which,
ISO ball.
Thank God is dying more rapidly, but because he realized first it was San Antonio, now it's then it was the Warriors, now you have, and then it was Atlanta, and then it's
even the Cavs don't play like that. Even they don't play ISO ball like that nearly
not anymore. I mean, they get that way every once in a while, but they move the ball around a lot more. The Celtics play that way. There's probably like 8 or 9 teams that pass the ball a lot. Like I was listening to a stat was saying that the Warriors are 6th in amount of passes behind, like the Knicks were on that list of most passes per possession.
Wow.
And I was like,
Knicks.
huh? Carmelo Anthony, the black hole of basketball?
Seriously.
Is on a team that passes?
Yeah, he's letting them do that?
Yeah, that's strange.
That is strange. So let me ask you this. What do you think I feel like this. I think you hold Kevin Durant till the first round of the playoffs. I don't care if he can run laps and do backflips right now. The team is super hot. That was a nasty knee injury. Save him to the playoffs. What do you think?
Well, I think just because the only funks I've seen this team in this year are when they defer in and around Kevin Durant, and they're not. When they lost Kevin, they didn't know how to play together. It took them a while to be like, oh yeah, we're the fucking Warriors. We were great before this fool got here. Like they had to relearn how to play that way because of the cerebral type of basketball that the Warriors play. It's as easy as and as fun and as free flowing as they make it look. They're thinking like there's a bunch of basketball savants on that team.
Yep.
Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green are 2 of the most cerebral basketball players ever. They're coaches on the floor, at all times. I mean, Steph and Clay are both that way as well. So I think that having him in there and play a couple of games, but he could have played this week technically, was the initial hope. But I mean, why bother? Get him in and play him a couple of games where you feel like he could play 35 minutes a night, but play him for 20. and
Yeah.
and just get him back in there because when you've got Kevin Durant, like the best scorer of his generation, there's a tendency to give him the ball and say, "Let's go," you know,
Yeah.
like let's watch what you can do because I mean it's freaking impressive. Like I knew that dude was good, but getting to watch him all year, he's better than advertised.
Well, also too, I think the difference is being on the Warriors. We're playing a form of basketball that he wanted to play and that he never could because he was kind of constantly dealing with the Russell Westbrook show. And I think you're seeing like a bigger you're seeing the defensive style that he was playing against the Warriors now being spread out across the entire season now that he's with the Warriors. And I think he's just more relaxed. And I think that
Yeah.
it's not all about who's going to get the last shot and do I need to have the last shot or do I need to defer to Russell and what's that mean if I don't? And I think he's just a lot in a much more relaxed position, and I think the Warriors put him in an environment where he's able to, I think, really maximize his potential. Like I agree, I think he looks so much better now than I thought he ever looked on OKC, and I thought he was dope as hell in OKC.
Yeah, I mean, I was amazed at how good he is. And to bring it back to the point where we said, like, surround yourself and, like, not being afraid to learn and, like, surround yourself with smart people, I think that's exactly what he did. And I don't know why people are hating on him for that. Because when you think about it, like, when you're doing your job, I mean, we don't have as cool as jobs as, basketball players. But, like, you keep doing the same job. Like, we were bartenders together for years. And it was like, when we'd learn something new, it was cool. And you'd be like, wow, look at that dude. He's fucking good. And fuck him, I can do that just as good. Let's learn that and be just as good. And why is that hated on that he wants to do that? He wanted to learn something different. I mean, he's probably one of the two best isolation basketball players on the planet. And top 5 on the planet right now. And he's going to go down as one of the greatest scorers of all time. Why not learn other aspects of the game? And he wasn't going to get that in OKC. They're just going to keep playing the way they were playing because it wins. And at the end of the day, it's not like learn and adapt. And he's going to I don't know if this is a correct analogy, but it's like a school of higher learning where this is a more advanced basketball. Instead of just doing algebra, now he's doing calculus. You know what I mean?
Yep. I do, absolutely. And you know what? He was there for almost a decade. I don't know any person in my life that's at any job for a decade. He was at one place for a decade. I think he put his time in. I don't think he. I think he had every right to make a decision for himself. Like in the rest, like you said, everyone, we don't have as cool of jobs, but when we make decisions for ourselves, when we decide to go get jobs and that we feel are in the best interest of ourselves, no one bitches on television about it. No one bitches even in most of the time. If you've got real friends, no one cares. So
Right.
Kevin Durant goes and he makes a decision for himself that he feels puts him in the best position so that he can move his career forward. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think he made a fine decision. And I mean, like if he didn't go to the Warriors and he thought the Celtics was the place to be, fine. I don't really, I think more than anything what upset people is because the Warriors had done so well. But like, I mean, God, I'd heard Stephen A. Smith rant about it for months, and I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like, shut up, get over it.
Right. Like, yeah, relax. Well, and it's like everybody, like I like we lost like 3 games in a row and everybody was saying the demise of the Warriors and what's wrong with them. And I'm like, nothing's wrong with them. They're just playing normal basketball. I mean, dude, what's wrong with and every pundit that I've listened to since the Cavs have faltered is saying they're going to be fine. And I'm going, dude, the only person that hasn't said it was when I was watching you watch those player only games on TNT?
Oh, you know what? I've seen some of them.
Check one of those out yet?
I usually have them on. I have them on at the bar, so I can never hear anything. But I see them. I have it on at the bar all the time. I just can never hear them.
Okay, yeah. See, they're a little messy in the analysis, but the Rip Hamilton, Kevin McHale, Greg Anthony, they're the better of the threesomes, but they're a little muddled. They have a tendency to talk over each other. Nobody really does play by play, but they were talking about it because like the Warriors were blowing out whoever. And when I was watching the game, and they were saying like they started talking about Cleveland, and Kevin McHale's like, I don't care what you say, you can't just turn it on. You should be trying to play good because you will end up by losing a lot more games. And I mean, Cleveland has never really had any competition, but I think I don't think that Washington or Boston or Toronto are really competition, but I think they can push them to 6 or 7 games. It'll be more difficult than it's ever been before. And it's more difficult than it was last year.
Absolutely. Well, I think this is the first year that Cleveland is going to feel a microcosm of what it feels like to try and get to the finals in the West.
Yeah.
You know,
Because, I mean, it will, and, you know, all right, let me ask you this, being a Warrior fan. Let me ask you a question. Do you want Cleveland?
100%. Oh, of course.
Yeah, I don't want any other team. I would feel slighted.
Yeah.
I want that, and I want to sweep those guys. Like,
Right. I want to pull a Spurs against Miami Heat the second round.
yeah, where they just quit, where they just like ready to walk off.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Spurs were like, we're coming into this series to destroy you. Tim Duncan guaranteed the win before the series started. He'd never done that before. He was like, he believed that they were going to win, and he'd never ever said anything like that. And then LeBron was all pissed about it, and then they just swept him. That's exactly what I want. I really do. I want that Spurs revenge sweep that they did. I want the Warriors to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I think the Warriors are like. I think the only reason the Warriors haven't really talked about that is because they feel like they know they're better. They don't have to say it. They don't need to prove anything. And I think they also think that that this isn't going to be that this year is not going to be the only time they're going to be in the finals. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's more to come down the road. They just haven't said anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know, and with Kevin Durant, I mean, honestly, we're looking at an all-time great team.
Yep.
You know, as much as the national pundits don't like to admit it, they won 60 games 3 years in a row. Steve Kerr got 200 wins faster than anybody else in any major sport ever. You know, like
it's insane.
Yeah, they're good. Like, I got you guys. They're gonna have to, and if you know, knock on wood, I don't want to. Count all my chickens before they're hatched, but dude, it would take a major league upset to derail this team. I hope.
I agree, and I think if Kevin Durant comes back, which I think we're both pretty confident that for sure is going to happen. If he comes back, I think that the playoffs are fine, and I still believe that the Cavs are going to get there no matter what. I think that I do find it funny that the Cavs have lost a shit ton of games, and everyone keeps talking about they'll be fine. Warriors lose 3, and it's the end of an era.
Right. That's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Right.
That's a really good point.
Right. Like it's the end of an era. It's over. They're done.
Yeah, it's over. Steph Curry's overrated.
Yep.
Forking him.
Yep. Stick a fork in him. It's over. We should have never given him the MVP.
3-pointers in guys' faces for the next 10 years. Get used to it, people. Like, dude, shooters don't go anywhere. I mean, look at Ray Allen. Like, that guy can be coming off curl screens and shooting guys' faces. He's not going to be able to, like, put guys on skates for the next 10 years, but they'll just run him off screens, and that little skinny guy is going to hit 3-pointers and just rack up points.
Yep.
You know? I mean, well, that guy's not going anywhere, bro. Like, I got news for you guys. Like, all you guys are going to eat Major Crow on that.
Well, awesome.
Well, I'd like to ask you one question about Cleveland. Because, the chemistry thing is something that's big in Warrior Land. But because this just popped in my head. But with all of the additions that they made at the deadline, do you think that's messing with Cleveland?
Well, that's an interesting one because they were so desperate. LeBron again with all his passive aggressive in the news. God forbid he picks up a phone and sits in a closed door and just has an adult conversation. He's got to always air all of his dirty laundry in the media and on Twitter, which I just never. That's such a millennial style of handling
communication.
Yeah, it's they're gonna handle it through a tweet.
Hey, it worked for our president, bro.
It does, dude. Yeah, I got him all the way to the top. So the whole thing, I do think it's messing with them. I think this is also part of the problem when you allow LeBron to be the unofficial GM.
Yeah.
I think this is,
when you let the inmates run the asylum, this is what you get.
Yeah, exactly. I also think, let me ask you this. I'll counter that with another question. Do you think no one said this though, but isn't it possible that there's a suffering from championship hangover?
I mean, wouldn't they get that earlier in the year? Why would they get that now?
Well, I mean, not really LeBron, but I think the young kids. The young kids.
Like the J.R. Smith, I'm amazed J.R. Smith made it this far without doing something stupid.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy didn't wear a shirt for like 3 months. I mean, it's not exactly the brightest dude in the world.
No,
Like,
exactly. Like these kids, these guys, all those young guys have been on the grind for 2 straight years, and now they're trying to go a third year. And I mean, no one said maybe the Cavs are a little bit of championship hangover. They're all pretty young. Maybe they're just kind of tired.
yeah,
LeBron's used to this. He's been doing this since the Miami Heat. He's been doing this. It's going to be his 7th year. Warriors this year. I think maybe some of the reason you're not seeing that fatigue is because they rebooted the whole team and added Kevin Durant.
right. That's true. I mean, and well, think about it. I mean, when was the last time LeBron wasn't in the finals? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you got to put him as one of the greatest of all time. And I guess, like, did I see that? I think I saw that on Bleacher Report that he just passed Shaq on the all-time scoring list.
Wow, did he? I knew he was on the heels of somebody.
I saw it came up as one of those Insta alerts when I was cooking dinner tonight, but I hadn't had a chance to read the article yet. So, plus I was also like just thinking about the Raiders.
Yep.
For when I was coming to sports, so I was like, yeah, I don't really care what the Cavs do because they're falling apart. I knew they lost because that also came up as an Insta alert, but that's about it. So.
I was so happy they lost again. I love watching LeBron lose. I never got tired of it.
True Warrior fan right there.
Also, speaking of Shaq, did you see his statue in front of Staples Center?
I saw a picture of it. It didn't look that bad. It didn't look as bad as the Ronaldo.
I walked in front. I was at the Lakers game, the Lakers against the Wizards on Tuesday, and
How was it?
It was good. It was actually really good. It was a barn burner. The Lakers lost in like the final seconds of the game. It was pretty good, but I walked by the statue. It is badass. Like he's like he's on. It's like he's slam dunking and he's on the hoop and they have it up in the air. So it's like when you're entering the main entrances for Staples Center, it's on the far left and it's up in the air above you. I mean, it's gigantic. Like it's pretty epic. I was just like, wow.
I knew that it, like from everything I read, I heard it was just enormous.
Yeah, it's huge. And he's dunking. He's got his back turned to the hoop and his hands are hanging on the rim and his knees are up to his chest and he's just doing this giant dunk and
the old school Shaq like slamming on the whole team dunk.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
It's super badass. Next time you're in LA, we'll go check it out. It's super badass.
Yeah, I gotta take a trip to LA. I want to go to freaking Staples Center. I haven't been there yet. That's a large problem on my fault.
Well, you know what? We should coordinate it because my good buddy John, who you met, who was in that show with me, my good buddy John, his family has a box there. His father's law firm has a box there that we go in all the time. That's all I've ever done is sat at the box.
That's worth the Southwest flight to LA.
Yeah, all the time. We can never get Warriors games, but he usually gets like 10 tickets a year, and so we go to a ton of games. I was there twice last month, and then I was there this month. I also went to Monday Night Raw. That was super fun.
Nice. Well, sweet, awesome, man.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, Pete, thank you so much for being on the show. This was excellent. You definitely got to come back again. We'll talk more Warriors, especially as we get into the postseason.
For sure, man. Let me know.
Absolutely. So concludes another edition of the GoldCast. We are the voice of the Bay Area. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and we'll see you next time. Same GoldCast time, same GoldCast channel.
This is the GoldCast.